Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com, coming to you live from Corner of the Galaxy Studios here on Thursday, January 24th. The LA Galaxy preseason has started. We're ready to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, including eMLS. We also got some updates on the training schedules and who's in camp and all sorts of fun stuff like that. And our question of the day: do you play FIFA? Do you PlayStation, Xbox? Did you watch any of the eMLS? We want to know what you see in the chat room. We might also have some time for some telephone calls, something we haven't done in a while here. So keep that ready and waiting. Just simmer down, take it easy. I'll let you know when it's time. But we're glad everybody could join us here on a Thursday night. We have a lot to get to, but let's start by saying hello to the Portuguese Hammer himself, Mr. Eric Vieira. Eric, how's it going, buddy?
It's going great. I'm glad to be back. Had a little bit of a break, but it's always nice to be back in COG Studios, especially after a red-hot Series 1 at eMLS. So
Rotterdam.
I am still buzzing, let me tell you.
We Eric and I both went and covered the eMLS event, which is something we're certainly gonna start to talk about here just a little bit more. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
I had a great time.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have so many people are used to Kevin on hearing.
Yeah.
Mr. Kevin Baxter, the Panda himself, not a big fan of the eMLS, the eSports world.
It's an acquired taste for some people.
Is it though?
Not for everybody.
I mean, I don't know. Anyway.
Again, we're doing a podcast about Major League Soccer. Some would argue that that's not for everybody either. So everyone has their thing. If you don't like eMLS, that's okay. There's plenty of things in the world.
You don't have to yuck other people's yum, right?
You know what? Sure.
Yes.
Don't yuck my yum. We're off to a great start.
Don't ever say that again. But well, that sort of transfers right into the feeling that we got whenever we were there. I was laughing with Eric. We were talking about, whenever they remade 21 Jump Street and how they come back and the cool guy who was cool in high school drives the cool car, and all of a sudden he's made fun of because it's a gas guzzler and you can't drive that. The Prius is the cool thing. So all the cool guys aren't cool anymore. So I wasn't a cool guy in high school. So I figured as I got older I would be cooler, and I figured going to an eMLS event I would probably be pretty cool. And I'm not cool there either, so it doesn't really matter where I'm just not cool.
Yeah. Kobe Jones was there.
He was cool.
MLS Cup winner, champion, professional athlete. But it was all about the guys with the joysticks. That's who people were there to see.
The guys with the joysticks.
Yeah, that tells you the excitement that was going on in Santa Ana, the eSports arena.
It was first of all, driven by the eSports arena in Santa Ana like multiple times. Slowed down the car every time because I wanted to peek my head in. You're like, what's going on in there? What are they doing? What does an eMLS arena look, or what does an eSports arena look like? I had no idea.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
I got the same question. I was like, it's at the eSports arena, and my wife was saying, well. What is where is that? I was like, it's the eSports arena.
Duh.
It's the one. But where are they putting it? I was like, no, it's the eSports arena. And it turns out it's just a room.
It's just
but they have it set up nicely. Yeah.
It's like a concert venue. It's like a mid-level concert venue where there would be no seats.
And like an indie concert.
Okay,
venue.
Yes. Okay. So
like a chain reaction. You guys remember that place?
Yeah.
Anyone? Am I dating myself?
Yeah.
No one.
I was gonna say
I lost everybody.
I was gonna say I used to go to the Galaxy Theater, which was over here in Costa Mesa, and it's not the Galaxy Theater anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to remember what they changed the name of it or whatever it was. Anyway. So we went to this event and we got to cover it. MLS gave us credentials in order to cover it, which was great. We had a good time. The atmosphere was fun. There were 500 something people there.
The Thundersticks were going.
That
always helps.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. So we got to do it. So we actually got to sit there and we wanted to take it in. And I have an open mind about this stuff. I actually think that esports in general has been taking off with leaps and bounds. You certainly see the money that's been thrown at it in certain games. Maybe FIFA's not quite there yet in terms of it being like a absolute home run in terms of esports and what it's going to be, and certainly people have some arguments about whether or not the AI that controls the 10 other players that are going on, it's like, is that a fair thing? And I think,
especially when you have Messi and Ronaldo and Marcelo all playing for the Houston Dynamo, that makes things a little bit easier for you.
To be fair, they were also all playing for the LA Galaxy.
Yeah. Everyone had the same rosters with the exception of a few. Obviously there are some rules where they have to play some players from the team they're representing, and then another MLS player as well. So, but for the most part, I think you saw Ronaldo and Messi on every single team. So it was interesting. So to that point, it's fair. there. But FIFA has been a staple forever. So that's something, if they can figure out, to make it competitive, which it seems like they have.
Yeah.
I think it's a home run.
It was exciting.
I was very excited
when the Galaxy player, Giuseppe, and we talked to Giuseppe, and I have some sound from him, so we'll be able to do that. If you go on our YouTube page, which if you're watching live, you're already there. Don't do it now because you can wait, or open another window if you want to do it.
Get those views.
But we have a video up there as well that sort of just gives you an idea of what it was.
Yeah, it captures the atmosphere of the event, and what I liked about it too is they took themselves seriously, because I think eMLS, because some of the guff that a lot of people give it and that you can give it, if it's treated with a little bit of the tongue in cheek, it can lose a little bit of that, they're in on the joke. But when you take it super seriously and you treat it, and you have announcers calling the game, my line of the night, one of the interview questions was, "Are you the Jurgen Klopp of gaming?" And I was like, this is fantastic. I mean, to have the gravitas to say, "Are you the Jurgen Klopp of gaming?" That tells you how serious these guys were taking it, and the players were in. I mean, they took it so seriously. Especially that guy from Houston was all business.
All business.
He was not there to have fun.
No,
he was there to take names.
Yeah, and he started to. And he was unbeaten in 31 of 32 games. Yeah. I'll tell you this, the interesting thing, holding it in Santa Ana, we actually got to talk to the general manager, James. James was the GM of the eMLS there, and works for Major League Soccer.
Talk about living the dream. I'm the general manager for eMLS. I mean, come on.
Again, it comes down to me not being cool enough.
Yeah,
I mean, James is a young dude. He's good looking, and he works in video games and soccer.
I mean,
come on.
I need to talk to my high school counselor. They did not put me on the right path.
Yeah, where's the career aptitude test for that one? But anyway, no, so he was actually saying that it had originally been planned for up in Los Angeles, and they had a venue there that had permitting issues and a whole bunch of other stuff, and they actually had to change it and move it down to Santa Ana, and they were worried about how it would turn out. And if you saw it on TV, or if you saw it on the live stream, however you watched it, it looked fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're taking some pointers for the studio here. I'm like, hey,
we need a couple boom mics and some up lighting. Yeah, it's a simple fix.
Simple fix. We did some rake lighting. Yeah, we gotta get all that stuff in here. But anyway, I thought it was really interesting just to see it. Giuseppe Guastella.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
The Godfather.
The Godfather. Got to play in that live tournament. He was actually fourth in the Western Conference and had to play the number one, which is Houston Dynamo.
Which, I'll stop you there. To get to that point, we were kind of following it throughout the day, because they started playing pretty early on in the morning, and you needed to qualify to play for what they streamed later on in that afternoon. So just the fact that he made it there was a success, even though bowed out a little early, but let's not forget, he had to get there.
He had to get there, and he did pretty good. So anyway, he ended up playing Kid Momito, who's Guillermo Trevino. Trevino was the guy who has been undefeated in basically 33 games. We saw the live game there. It was the Houston Dynamo versus the LA Galaxy, of course, with Ronaldo and Messi playing, which is still a head-scratcher for me. I think you should have to play...
Well, you know what the beauty was also is Ronaldo, Messi, all these... Albert Ellis is the one who scored the first two goals.
That's right. That's how it happened. So it was an MLS player.
It's funny how that works.
Breaking through. Anyway, so Giuseppe ended up losing to Kid Momito. Kid Momito went all the way to the final of this one, where he lost to the Philadelphia Union. First time the dude's lost in forever.
And the first time the Philadelphia Union have won anything, too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They probably put that trophy in the actual trophy room.
Yeah.
That's in the case. Dulsta is Cormac Dooley from Ireland, who plays from Philadelphia. Ended up winning 4-3 in the final. Neither of us were there for the final. No. By the way, we called that one at that point. So, but you did get something special.
I circled back.
You did circle back. I want to make sure that everybody sees this.
I got my own FIFA player card.
Oh my!
A striker. See, this is why you go to eMLS. It's a fun party. You may not like eSports, you may not like FIFA, but go for the party. Get one of these. I'm a striker here. 90% pass accuracy, 93% shot. I mean, this is pretty accurate.
79% physical. I'm looking at you. I don't feel like that 79 is anywhere near close.
I'm a physical presence. You don't. Center defenders do not want to see me barreling down the pike. Let me tell you. I would up that rating if I had my way.
Well, I mean, really, the other big news that sort of came out of the eMLS is that we did get to see a certain somebody at this particular event. And
talking about Kobe?
No, wasn't Kobe. Said hi to Kobe.
Okay.
No, that wasn't it. It was Cosmo.
Oh, okay.
It was Cosmo. Now listen,
there, huh?
I know that a lot of people were asking about Cosmo.
I was one of those people.
You were asking about Cosmo as well. So basically, we knew that the LA Galaxy were hunting for a new Cosmo. So I will tell you this, and I was actually able to talk to the team and ask them this question. I said, the fans need to know this, so I'm going to give you the breaking news that we have. The old Cosmo is not going anywhere. So if you are a fan of the old Cosmo, You're not going. He's not going anywhere. Yes, slow clap.
Slow clap.
Okay.
Let's give it up for that.
But
I did mention I thought there was going to be, like the Pope will have some smoke. It'll be a big transition,
Yes,
but
no.
turns out not necessary.
Not necessary. So the old Cosmo is staying. However, and I put the however, they are getting a Cosmo. They are having somebody else help out with
Cosmo Dos.
Yeah, Cosmo, the second Cosmo. So there's going to be a mix. It might be new Cosmo, it might be old Cosmo. You don't know where you're going with that. I will say my only criticism for right now is that whenever Cosmo was asked what position he played,
when he did his player
card, it came up striker. He said he was wanted to be a striker, and everybody knows. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to know this, that Cosmo is a goalkeeper.
Cosmo Dos didn't know that.
Yeah, well, Cosmo Dos didn't know that. So listen, I think there's going to be some break-in time.
Yeah.
So if you feel like maybe Cosmo isn't quite Cosmo, it might be new Cosmo.
Yeah, and I think, and again, not to speak ill of anyone who wears the mask, because it truly is a thankless job.
Right.
I think it really is. But if you are tuned in to the intricacies of Cosmo,
right,
you will notice. You'll notice. I picked up on it. I picked up that wasn't the Cosmo I know and love, but I respect to him. It's again, I'm not here to speak ill of anyone, but if you study Cosmo like a lot of people do, you'll know. But at the same time, this is it's new. You got to learn. You got to figure it out.
Chat room knocked it out of the park.
All right, of course.
John Cena DuPont in the chat room. Sweet. We got a reserve Cosmo now.
Cosmo Reserve.
Cosmo Reserve. Oh, my goodness.
Emergency Cosmo.
Emergency Cosmo. E-Cosmo.
Yeah.
For the eMLS.
For eMLS,
That's,
yeah.
of course. Okay, that makes sense. Do you want to waste, this is my question, do you want to waste
That's
old
what I'm
Cosmo
saying.
on
That's what I'm
eMLS?
saying. If eMLS is not a priority, that's where you send, Cosmo Dos. Emergency Cosmo.
Oh, my.
Reserve Cosmo. That's what you use him for.
That is.
And that's what he's here to do. So.
Let's hear from...
Shout out to you, new Cosmo. Keep up the good work.
Let's hear from Guiseppe Guastella real quick about the eMLS. We talked to him after he had lost. Just want to hear... I mean, as much as we can make fun, and I think we both had a good time, and we understood that these guys are taking it seriously. This is a guy who really is taking it seriously. Yeah. Although I'm not used to interviewing people whenever they're drinking a beer after their event. But I think
he earned it.
He definitely earned it. So here he is.
Day.
Here's Guiseppe Guastella, and we'll move on to some new news, some LA Galaxy first team news, not the eMLS. So here's Giuseppe.
I'm here with Giuseppe, unfortunately just eliminated. But talk real quick about this event and what you see from all the Galaxy fans here.
It's a great event that eMLS has hosted. LA Galaxy fans came and supported me throughout the whole game. Unfortunately, the results didn't come to what I wanted. But it was a really good event. Like I said, there's about 500 Galaxy fans here supporting me, so it's fun. And it's a great experience to be at.
Yeah, does it give you like another level? Is it something different whenever you bring in fans? You have a live audience, you have people cheering for you and cheering against your opponent.
To be honest, I have my headset on, so I don't hear anything, but I'm glad they were cheering me on. Like I said, it's a great experience to be at these events, but when you bring the fans in and they're supporting you, there's a lot of pressure for you to perform, and unfortunately I didn't do it today.
I mean, what's next for you? I mean, do you go back? Do you start practicing again? Obviously, Series 2 coming up in Dallas, and then, what's next after that?
So when I get home, I'm going to go to sleep because I'm really tired. It's been all day. No, but I'll start practice and maybe change my tactics a little bit for the Dallas event in February 15th, I believe. So I'll practice every weekend, do the weekend league, and just go from there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking to us. We appreciate it, and good luck on Series 2.
Thank you.
All right, so there's our little interview. He's a great guy.
And that's what I'm saying. If you can't hate on eMLS.
He's a nice guy.
There are a lot of haters out there, and you just can't do it.
All right.
We're moving on.
Fast fake Cosmo.
I could do another 10 minutes on eMLS.
I could probably do a whole different podcast. We're gonna have to have Corner the Galaxy.
There we go. Done and done.
Thanks to Molly at MLS for helping us get into the venue and giving us access to be able to talk to the guys and take all the footage. Again, head over to the YouTube videos on YouTube. Type in Corner of the Galaxy. You can find our coverage there from the eMLS. All right, we move on now, and certainly something that we need to talk about. The LA Galaxy now 4 days, count them, 4 days into preseason training whenever you're going. That means just 37 days until the match against the Chicago Fire to open the season, and of course with some games rapidly approaching now. The LA Galaxy getting ready for their first preseason games, and the first one is actually going to be one that wasn't on anybody's schedule. Kevin Baxter broke the news yesterday on Wednesday, and basically the LA Galaxy have added a game to their preseason schedule. and we'll be playing touring Japanese club Vissel Kobe on February 5th from 10 a.m. to noon. This is a closed-door scrimmage, which usually means that if you're a press person, you can usually get in if you really want. But for the most part, what we have is we have a visiting team that is playing a bunch of games in a relatively short period of time. And Kevin notes that Andres Iniesta, David Villa, and Lucas Podolski will not participate in any of those. So,
Perfect.
Yeah, I'm like, it doesn't really matter, right?
Here's Vissel Kobe brings in these former legends or legends still, depending on how you look at it, and they're coming to tour Southern California. I know they have a few other teams on their docket as well, but I guess their scrimmage with the Galaxy will not include them, which I guess is understandable. If it's going to be closed doors, you're not selling tickets to it. It's basically a training session. It's a 90-minute game situation training session.
Yeah, except it's like that the max players are going to play is like 30 minutes. I mean, that's probably
maybe a half. Maybe a half.
No, you're not going to get a half. It's the first game, the first preseason game they actually play in front of people. You're going to get guys going like 30, 45.
They're doing 2 days. They're going to push them.
Ooh, they are doing 2 days. So anyway, that's an update to your schedule. So February 5th, I don't expect there to be any sort of news that comes out of this. You might see some social media stuff from the LA Galaxy, but they may not even tweet the game. There's not going to be a stream of it. This is basically a glorified scrimmage, and it's probably not only that. They may actually. This is one of those situations where you may actually play like 3 30-minute games and you switch lineup every 30 minutes.
I remember they had a scrimmage. I don't know if it was last season or a couple seasons where that's exactly what happened. Everyone played 30-minute segments. I think it was against Seattle. Yeah, but same situation where they just tweeted pictures or small videos, kept people updated. But again, you said a glorified scrimmage. A scrimmage is a glorified scrimmage. It is what it is. I don't know that a glorified scrimmage would be a game, right?
Yeah, I think that would be what it is. The LA Galaxy training a whole bunch, and we talked about the 2-a-days on Monday. They're basically planning on doing these 2-a-day trainings throughout the first 3 weeks of the season, and that includes just really. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever you look at the 2-a-days and how they currently have them scheduled. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday are all 2-a-days. Saturday, they're going to have an early session early in the morning at 9 a.m. This schedule all published on LAGalaxy.com, by the way, if you know where to look. And then Sunday, they will be off before returning on Monday for the 2-a-days again. So they are getting a day off, on Sunday. They get a half day off on Saturday. And in between, as Kevin Baxter sort of outlined, is they are headed to a hotel in Manhattan Beach that sort of breaks down and allows them to rest as a team as well.
Yeah,
and
that team building. You know, and I think you've talked about it on this show as well. Sometimes, you travel to a different city, and for that purpose, to have that team bonding, have, stay with a roommate, get to know your teammates, build that team chemistry. So the fact that they are staying in a hotel, that's a good sign to help build that out. And then going back to the 2-a-days, just kind of a funny anecdote. Again, if you're following the Professional Foul at Galaxy Pro Foul on Instagram, something that I noticed is Jonathan Dos Santos' first day back, he posted something, he's feeling stronger than ever, posted it, and then 24 hours later, he's in those hyperbaric leg sleeves.
Yes.
with the battery set at 0.
Yes.
So, it's kind of two schools of thought here. You could say, with injuries being a concern and some of the ages of players like Zlatan, is this something that might be an issue? Or is it the other school of thought where you get hurt when your body's weak? So these practices are preparing their bodies and really pushing them. So maybe this will lead to fewer injuries throughout the season. It's kind of counterintuitive because they're building up that strength now, so that it may not break down as much later. So I think Larry Morgan, not on Twitter, mentioned in the notes that Ola Kamara mentioned that this intensity is something that was missing. So maybe this is a good thing.
Yeah, it certainly is interesting. If you watch any of the Boca Juniors Confidencial, which is on Netflix, which I highly suggest you watch, because basically it's the entire technical crew that the Galaxy now have was down there at Boca Juniors. It's very interesting. For those of you who don't speak Spanish, don't worry, subtitles helps you out. No problems.
That's when I watch stuff with subtitles in English.
I'm sure you
just
do.
Like to read.
I'm sure you do. But anyway, no, watch that and sort of see just the preseason. The first 2 episodes cover that preseason, and it does a pretty good job of sort of getting you prepared for what the Galaxy are currently going through. I thought Zlatan had some great quotes from the first days of training. Remember, Wednesday was the first availability in terms of media availability. So it's good to see that everybody's sort of there. And Zlatan, Ola Kamara, Roman Alessandrini. The big takeaways are that Zlatan wants to work hard. That was one thing.
He had good quotes. That's surprising.
I know,
from
right?
him. He usually doesn't have much to say.
He's so quiet. He's a quiet guy. Soft
An introvert.
Yeah. So he had some good quotes. Ola Kamara basically talking about the physical training again, and it was a lot of the same stuff that he mimicked before he had actually gone.
Yeah.
Whenever I talked to him on
He knew
on
what he was getting into.
MLS Media Day because he watched Netflix. So he was there. He got that. And then Ramon Alessandrini's was really interesting, too, because he's really talking about how he deserves to be a designated player and he deserves to stay in L.A. And I don't think there's any question. I'll be honest. I think it's blown out of proportion that anybody thinks Ramon's going anywhere. I'm very serious with that whenever you look at this. It doesn't make any sense for me that Ramon would go anywhere. So, we'll see how that all goes and how it goes. But, I mean, some of this stuff, the Ibrahimovic and some of the quotes, he says, I think last season we had a team that can do it. I have belief. I trust in what we are doing, and I'm very confident. After playing one season in MLS, now I understand it more. I'm very hopeful. Everybody's working hard. Everybody's excited and motivated. He says, I'm doing every session. This is kind of cool. This is a cool Zlatan quote. This is one that like you put on a T-shirt or something like that, except it's too long because Zlatan can't make like one little short awesome quotes. He says, I'm doing every session, even if it's only 3 days in camp. He said, they're asking me to jump over some exercises, but I want to do everything. If my team runs, I run. If my team suffers, I suffer. My age is not important. The important thing is my mentality, and that is bulletproof.
So there it is. That's your quote for the shirt.
He's and the important thing is my mentality, and that is I can never do a Zlatan like a good one.
I don't even want to try.
Yeah, you just sound like an idiot if you try.
Well, and I think we have a new nickname. So we lost Bulletproof Baggio.
It's Bulletproof Zlatan. It doesn't have the same ring. It doesn't have the same ring.
Remember, hit you with but still.
Baggio Husidic over currently training with LAFC, as we talked about on Monday. So that's not a surprise to anybody. Ola Kamara basically says that his worst fears have apparently come true in regards to Javier Valdecantos. Yeah, Javier Valdecantos, the physio. He says, I can confirm that. I saw a lot of the Boca Juniors players were extremely tired. The same thing here the first 3 days. I don't know what the show is. I just wanted to do a little bit of research before we started. He said, everybody's stiff, everybody's sore. It's higher intensity from the beginning. I think maybe the intensity was something we lacked last year, so I think they're starting off in that direction. And so he says, it's certainly a little bit more intense. The interesting one here is Ramon Alessandrini. Let's get to some of his quotes. Basically, let's see if I'm sort of going through Larry's article, which is a great Galaxy notebook. If you haven't read it, you should. cornerofthegalaxy.com and click on the first Galaxy notebook there of the 2019 season. Lots of good stuff. We said they're talking about the 4 DPs. The bottom line is that the 4 DPs, Eric, are getting discussed by the players.
Yeah, it's not a secret. Everyone knows that they're 4 DPs, so there's no getting around it. And the fact that Roman said in his interview that he wants to remain a DP, he's earned his right to say that. As speculating because of the number on his contract, the salary-wise, I know there's a lot of talk about restructuring, but when it comes down to it, he's done nothing wrong. He shouldn't be penalized. He should continue to receive that DP money and keep that DP slot. So taking it and saying, he wants to remain a DP, and being shocked by that quote or intrigued by it, to me, it's just what else would he say? That's what he should be saying.
Yeah. Let's see. It says, Alessandrini, it is what it is. The club has to make a choice. You never know. Soccer is complicated sometimes. I know I did my job the last 2 years. For me, if I have to choose, I stay as a DP. I feel good. Let's see what happens. There it goes. Again, I think we're overthinking a bit.
Yeah.
I think the LA Galaxy have a plan in mind. I think that it was always their plan to have Giovanni Dos Santos show up to camp. It was always their plan for him to train because they're looking to move him. And if they can get somebody to buy him, they will. And if that can't happen, they're going to buy him out.
Yeah, but I think no one's going to buy him. And the reason for that is when that information leaked about AEG is going to let them buy out Gio if they have to. Once that gets out, if you're another club, do a Google search, do something simple, and there's no incentive to pay anything for him if you know that the club in a month is going to buy him out. So, yes, while fans were happy to see that, a buyout as a possibility, that really kind of put them in a bad situation because I don't know the ins and outs of how the buyouts would work. But to me, from the outside looking in, it seems like an outside club wouldn't have any incentive to pick him up. I don't know how that would work.
They would if you wanted to guarantee him coming to your club and not going somewhere else. You could make a deal with the Galaxy and basically say, hey, we're gonna go ahead. We'll take him and we'll pay you $500,000. and that's $500,000 you didn't have.
In GAM or
No,
JAM?
Well, it would be outside the league.
Yeah,
so
it's a fee, a transfer fee.
Yeah, a transfer fee. So basically coming in and doing that. Hey, here's $500,000 you didn't have, and we get him directly. Now again,
but at the same time, we saw that he declined to go somewhere who may have been a suitor, so that gives a hint that maybe he has a no trade clause. So if the team wants to ensure they get him, but he ultimately doesn't want to go there, he's not going to want to go there after the buyout anyway. So it just seems like it's not going to happen. It seems like we're just going to wait for the buyout unless MLS changes the rules.
The MLS is not changing the rules. That's I saw people freaking out about that today. Calm down. MLS ain't changing. MLS is not changing the rules. I know Atlanta has 4 DPs.
Yeah,
I know the Galaxy have 4 DPs. There's no way they're going to be like, yeah, it's okay.
It's fun banter. That's all it is.
I think somebody said, well, seriously though, like what's the penalty if they try to do 4 DPs? I'm like,
they can't.
They can't.
It's impossible.
I go. They would forfeit games.
Yeah.
They would lose. They would be docked points.
Yeah.
Like all these things. So that's not going to happen. Something's happening. The only other thing that could possibly happen, and I put this way down lower, is restructuring a contract. And I've always said Roman is the guy you restructure. People are talking about, and I know that I've seen it a bunch on Twitter today. I know chat room saying it too. Is that you're talking about? Could you restructure Gio's contract? Yeah, but why would he want to?
Yeah.
I mean,
sure, I'll take
less money,
$4 million less, and just hang out. That seems like a good deal.
You can pay me $1.5 million a year, and to my knowledge, you can't buy out the contract and then restructure the contract. MLS would be like, no,
funny money situation going on here.
So no, I mean that's really where we're at with that.
Yeah. And that's the other thing with Roman is, do you take part of his interview as a negotiating tactic, or was he being genuine? To me, he's never come across. It seems like the agents are the ones who do the negotiating. So I don't know that he was trying to make a play to keep that DP spot. I think he was being genuine that he feels like he should be a DP, and he was just being honest. I don't think that was any type of negotiation to try to avoid a restructuring.
Outside of Zlatan Ibrahimovic, there's nobody else in the LA Galaxy who deserves to be a designated player more than Roman Alessandrini. And you could say that just off a work rate.
Yeah.
Who else?
You could argue Jonathan Dos Santos.
Yeah, but that was for 8 games at the end of the season. I mean, listen, I think that he's going to be a great player this year. I think that he can be. I think that he showed himself to be a designated player.
You can make the argument.
You could make the argument. It's just a bad argument if you do it. I don't like that argument at all. I might mute
Let's
your mic.
argue. Let's argue.
No, I don't. No.
You know what? Let's take it to FIFA. We'll settle this.
We'll settle this.
A team of Jonathan Dos Santoses versus a team of Roman Alessandrinis. Done and done.
Giuseppe, as we're waiting to record, goes, so do you guys play FIFA? And Eric and I look at each other. I'm like,
I'm back in.
Like, kind of. I'm like, yeah, I do. I go, but like when I play, I lose to the computer and stuff like that. So yeah. I don't know. The LA Galaxy have a full training roster, and actually one that has even the unsigned players. Speaking of unsigned players, they signed a player, which we had talked about on Monday, and we had told you that it looked like a signing was pretty imminent. Goalkeeper Matt Lampson, who was picked up in the second round of the re-entry draft, has been officially signed, therefore, and he, in my mind, takes over as the number 2 pretty easily, passes Justin Vom Steeg just in terms of what they've done and sort of their experience and where Vom Steeg sits. So, I mean, people are laughing. I was laughing, and people are going, you don't need 3 goalkeepers. You always have 3 goalkeepers.
You never know.
You don't have to go to the league goalkeeper. The
emergency
pool,
Cosmo.
The emergency Cosmo reserve goalkeeper. So, I mean, that's really what you want to see there is they have 3 goalkeepers, and in my mind, it's David Bingham is the number 1, Matt Lampson is 2, and Justin Vom Steeg, who will probably spend most of his time down at LA Galaxy 2. There was also talks about another goalkeeper. I think it was 20-year-old Pachuca goalkeeper
Abraham Romero.
Yeah, Abraham Romero is the guy.
And that's one that feels like a G2 signing.
It does.
Because they already have 3 goalkeepers. He got 0 appearances when he was at Pachuca. So if he does come, and given his age, it seems like that's going to be depth over at Galaxy 2.
All right, so Gio as 3rd goalkeeper. Gio as backup Cosmo.
Hey, we didn't see.
That's right. Is he too tall?
I don't know.
Gio's not that tall.
I don't think
we
Gio's that
make
tall.
it. I forget what the
I think Gio was taller than Cosmo Dos.
There was a height restriction that you and I were looking at in order to play Cosmo.
I would have been Cosmo Dos.
Yeah, you could have made it.
I was going to try it. But
Okay.
Too tall.
You're too tall.
First time ever in my life I've been told I'm too tall.
I know that's disappointing too.
Can't play Mickey Mouse, can't play Cosmo.
It's just
a disappointing day.
I'll tell you, it sounds like it. We're not cool. All right, we're not cool, and
we like esports.
we
just keep digging ourselves a nice hole here.
Can you imagine? I mean, you imagine, but can other people imagine that I told my wife that I couldn't come home on Tuesday night because I had to go watch people play video games? And I'm like, no, this is a real thing. She's like, okay, sure it is. Like, what are you really doing? I'm like, no, I swear I'll come home with video. Like, it wasn't even a thing, but it's one of those things. It's one of those things as a 37-year-old
when you say
now.
it out loud.
When you say it out loud, you never would have thought you would have said it.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes total sense now in the whole scheme of things.
Well,
anyway.
We'll keep going.
Yeah. Maybe Panda can be the new Cosmo. Cosmo,
he should
Panda.
be the new Panda. He should just be his own thing.
The
Galaxy Panda.
Let's see. So we go down. David Bingham, Justin Von Stieg, Matt Lampson are your goalkeepers. Hugo Ariano, Rolf Felcher, Tomas Hilliard-Arce, Dave Romney, Jorgen Shelvik, Daniel Steres, Julian Araujo, and Didi Traore. With Araujo and Traore being unsigned currently at this moment.
Asterisks next to their name.
They do.
I also we didn't mention it during the training. Tomas Hilliard-Arce won the beep test.
Beep.
Which, if you've ever done a beep test,
do people know what the beep test is?
If you don't, it's pretty difficult.
I've never had to do one.
Oh, I have, and I usually don't. I usually am the first one out.
Yeah.
Again, looking at my physio here on my FIFA card.
No.
But yeah, basically, there's a beep that goes off, and you have to run between the cones, and you have to pass the cone before it beeps.
And
the longer it goes,
right,
the
faster
the beeps become closer and closer together.
Right, and so the whole idea is that if you don't make it back in time, you get eliminated. You're out. Mm-hmm. And so whoever can go longest, then that's basically
who wins.
And it was Hilliard-Arce for the second year in a row, right?
Yeah, and him and Rolf Felcher, I guess, were the final two. And there's video of it on the Galaxy website. That's where I found that out. So I was impressed by that. He's not who I would have guessed would win the beep test. But he's young, getting after it, physical guy. So, good for him. That's impressive.
And by the way, he was talking smack to Felcher the whole time
course.
too. I enjoy that. He's like, Rolf, I'm not quitting. You might as well just give up.
It's a good sign.
He's fighting.
Yeah,
he's
like
fighting. It's interesting to see. All right, so defenders, midfielders: Ramon Alessandrini, Emmanuel Boateng, Servando Carrasco, Jonathan Dos Santos, Giovanni Dos Santos, Juninho, Perry Kitchen, Sebastian Lletget, Bradford Jameson IV, Joao Pedro, who's on loan and not really there.
I just said a prayer up in the air for Joao.
Joao is in Greece still.
Yeah, he's having a good time.
Emil Coelho.
Yep.
Coelho.
That's another one.
Quaalude.
We got to get him on the show.
That wasn't it.
Seems like it could be a Portuguese last name. Maybe I'll start claiming him.
And Don Cialo as well. So also as the midfielders, which by the way he was listed as a forward by MLS, but it was they have him listed as a midfielder.
And then once they drafted him, then it listed him as a midfielder. Yeah. So we'll see. Whatever if the Galaxy's listing him as a midfielder, he's a midfielder.
Zlatan Ibrahimovic is a forward. Didn't know if you've heard of him. Tall guy, 6'5". He can play.
Does he play up front?
Yeah, he does. He's okay. Ola Kamara, Chris Pontius, and Efren Alvarez listed as a forward.
I like that.
It
might not make a difference.
What does that matter? I think somebody was just like drunk when they made up some of these. You got
to pop him in somewhere.
Yeah, you have to. It's like, well, I don't know. You put him somewhere. So that is your current roster, except
I was going to say we're missing one.
Wait, yeah, one, maybe two, but certainly one.
One for sure.
Uriel Antuna, the loanee from Manchester City, is training with the LA Galaxy. He is not signed, however, at least the paperwork is not completely done, so he's not. I wonder,
which is interesting because they have these players with asterisks,
and they didn't put them on there.
But they didn't put them on there, so it is interesting. Uriel Antuna.
It has to do with like whether or not they're allowed to work in the United States right now, and with the government shutdown, I would have to imagine that's not just
a factor.
Open and shut thing right now. So getting him in and being there. Now, the other guy.
Wait, we're recording this. He's not there then.
He's not there. Yeah,
the camera. He's not there.
Diego Planta is the other one, and he is not there. They're still negotiating. Listen, everybody expects this to get done, but it's just not there.
Yeah, which is interesting because we were hearing about him before Antuna came through. And so with Antuna, I saw his age and I coming from Man City and saying, well, he's definitely not playing at Man City, so maybe this is a G2 signing. But after digging a little bit deeper, he's playing at Groningen in the Eredivisie right now. Eredivisie. Am I saying that right?
Eredivisie?
Yeah, in the Netherlands. He's playing in the Netherlands. Yeah, thank you for giving me enough rope to hang myself.
I didn't want to touch that one. I like watching people twist.
Basically, he was getting first team minutes coming off the bench, so it seems like he's going to get first team minutes. So the fact that he came, seemingly out of nowhere because it was Polenta, and then he shows up, it seems like it's a done deal. So it's curious that the Polenta deal's not done yet. I'm not
curiouser and curiouser.
Not too worried about it, but
no.
it is a little bit concerning that it's not done yet.
Yeah, I'll say it. I mean, the Galaxy are very careful about giving us the okay to say people are signed, and they have not said that this guy is signed.
And they'll announce it 3 months from now.
Yeah.
After game 3 and he's had 2 starts, they'll say officially signed.
Yeah, so it would be interesting. You want to see them out there, and you want to see, Uriel Antuna as well. You want to see them out there, and so he's out there, he's training. So Polenta needs to get in there, though.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like the time to be in there.
This
You
is
don't want to
important.
miss this part.
And that's the thing with Antuna. He may not be signed yet, but he's there. He's part of the team.
Yeah.
He's getting involved and building that chemistry and getting those reps. So I think that's important.
Yeah, Galaxy's still short on defenders. Because if you come in here and you start looking at Hugo Ariano is not a starter, and you know that, and is he even a first-team player? You don't know because he hasn't been. He's been an LA Galaxy 2 guy. He's done okay at LA Galaxy 2, but I wouldn't say he's setting the world on fire, and he should definitely be up on the first team this year. Homegrown, though, so
Yeah.
that's fine. Rolf Felcher is a starter. Okay. Tomas Hilliard Arce, this is his year to come up into it.
If you win the beep test, you get a starting spot. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely. It's just automatic.
It's done.
That's the GBS rule. Let's do the beep test. Good.
Yeah, it seems like depending on who else is walking through the door on defense, he might have to be an option.
Yeah. So you have let's
Romney.
see, the Romney. So he's a starter right now on this team, or he's the first backup to every position on the back line. So however you look at that, you have Shelvik, who needs to prove something. He's making a ton of money. So he's a starter right now. Daniel Stera's borderline starter, bench player, sort of backs up there with Romney, but Romney's probably first off the bench anywhere. And then Didi Traore, who has been sort of looking to come back and do different things, signed with LA Galaxy 2, possibly looking at trying to make the first team. But there's not a lot of starters.
Yeah, it's not starting caliber experienced defenders who are there. It's if you can say, and again, we're all about making arguments here. You can make arguments that these guys are ready and they can do it, but there's no proven track record that these players are ready. And again, I'm not saying they're good arguments. I'm just saying
if the LA Galaxy do not reinforce these defenders by the time the season starts, and I'm talking about you need Polenta, who's a starter,
Yep.
and you need at least one more guy who was a borderline starter, then they're going to have a lot of the same issues that they had. Now,
That's the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting
expecting a different result.
That's what would happen here.
I mean, and you look at the offense and you're like, okay, yes, I can feel that. I like it. I can see it. Even bringing Juninho in, who's more box to box, and possibly being able to put him next to Jonathan Dos Santos, who's also box to box. Having 2 box to box guys, double pivot.
Yeah, curious. We saw how that worked last year, though. That not so well.
So I mean that's something. There's a lot of ifs here, and right now, I was okay with them re-signing basically everybody that they re-signed. Carrasco was like my only thing, and I just not going to make a big deal about that. I thought that they would re-sign Romney. I thought that they would re-sign Boateng. I thought that they would re-sign Pontius. I thought Felcher would be back, and he is. I mean, a lot of this isn't surprising.
Like you said, having all these players come back was not the problem. It's what are you going to do to reinforce them and provide that extra bit of oomph, that extra spice that's going to help you get to the playoffs and make a run in an MLS Cup. You need to add to this roster. This roster as is not ready to go there. So they need to add to it. And the defense has not changed. And so that's the concern.
Yeah, it's one of those. And it certainly is, you look at Polenta and you have to feel like he's a starter. But, I mean, there's no guarantee that he's a starter. I mean, from what we've seen, hasn't played since June, right? His contract ran out.
Again, based on reputation, it seemed like he would be. But, again, he's missing these important days of training. So who knows once he gets here, how he looks. Again, we'd assume he's a starter, but you don't know. You don't know until he's here and he starts training.
Ooh. I mean, that's the bad thing.
Great time. I was feeling good about this team until about 30 seconds ago.
It's important to point out because you have to say, okay, the Galaxy go out and get Guillermo Schelotto, awesome. The Galaxy go out and get Dennis Kloese, awesome. Those were both great.
Yeah.
They re-signed Zlatan Ibrahimovic, great. You did that. You did your job there. You look at everything, and so far I'm like, you have an A in this offseason. A. Good job.
We're giving out grades.
Grades. Everybody's getting an A. And then you get to the defense. It's like, okay, you have spots open. You need to bring in the players for that. So who are you getting? How tied are you with everything? Where's the cash? Can you do anything, really to get the defense to be significantly better? And
that's the question too. I mean, obviously we don't know what their budget is or what the salary breakdown is, but how much money do they have to play with to get these defenders? So if Kloese has someone in mind that he wants to bring in, but maybe they're priced out, that could be an issue as well. So it's just a matter of figuring out with salary restrictions,
right,
does that impact why they haven't signed anybody? Because maybe the people that they're looking at are their pay grade is a little too high for this season's LA Galaxy.
I mean, that sort of thing. They do have some money still tied up in Shelvik, and certainly that ties your hands a little bit. But there has to be more. There has to be a correction done here. You have to look at what didn't work last year, and you have to bring it in. Now, you can count on, and you can try to count on Jorgen Shelvik again. And you almost have to with the amount of money you're spending. You're sort of like, okay, you have to be good this year.
And assuming he has a 2-year contract, this is his
last year.
His year to say, show us something, or we'll waive you. We won't exercise your option on that 3rd year.
Or he could have a 3rd year, or he could have a guaranteed 3rd year. We don't know. They never tell us anything. I'm the guy who broke the news on that story. I have no idea. The guy, it's just.
I thought the Atlantic broke the news on that one.
Yeah, the Athletic.
The Athletic, whatever.
Yeah,
the Atlantic's a different.
You tried to twist the knife.
I
tried
to make funny and it didn't work.
Yeah, good luck.
You're
with
unflappable,
that.
Josh.
Good
unflappable.
Good luck with that. Anyway, so that's sort of where you sit on the defense. You have to do something there. You have to be able to say that we made this team better. If you're the LA Galaxy, you wave that flag and you say we got rid of Giovanni Dos Santos. Maybe I'm throwing things in the air. You got rid of Giovanni Dos Santos. We kept Zlatan Ibrahimovic. We did all these things that we were supposed to do, and we fixed the defense. You have to be able to plant that flag and say, we did something, and that's not what this team shows me right now.
And getting rid of players doesn't fix something. So saying that is what worked is getting rid of a player and saying, okay, we fix it because we got rid of something. I don't know that flies. So you're absolutely right. There needs to be additions to the roster as well.
Because as you look at it, if you're going to say, okay, so, look in the Western Conference and who do you feel is going to be, the top 5 teams in the Western Conference? Are the Galaxy going to be in a top 7? I feel like the Galaxy are probably top 7.
It's hard not to be in the top 7 when you have Colorado's and Minnesota's. Are they in the West? They're in the
Yes,
West.
they are.
Yeah.
Minnesota and Colorado.
Looking at the map, yeah.
We were watching the eMLS results, and they had, I think, Minnesota and Colorado were down at the bottom. We're like, oh, look, it's mirroring real
fitting,
life.
Yeah.
It was fitting. And then Philadelphia goes and wins the whole thing, and it's like, wait a minute.
That's not supposed to happen.
That's not supposed to happen. We had a good time. We were joking the whole time. But anyway, no, I mean, that's really where you sit with the LA Galaxy now is you have to look at that and say, okay, where have they gotten better? Where have they gotten worse? What do they happen? If you want to call in, by the way, we haven't done this in a while, but if you want to call in, you're more than welcome to. Our telephone number, 949-734-4217, 949-734-4217. If you're listening to us on the podcast, we're not going to answer, but, if you're on the live show,
I can give you another number to call
you're in the chat
you
room, you want to talk about whatever you want to talk about, we're more than willing to let that open. Unfortunately, it is kind of a slow news week in terms of what's happening. There's not a whole bunch of updates.
It's one of the interesting things is because the good news is there's action. They're practicing. There are things happening at the club. We're seeing pictures come in from Galaxy's social media of the practices that are happening. Which, by the way, shout out to the photographer Robert Mora, because those pictures of the night practices are just spectacular.
Sunset. That was some good stuff.
So it's impressive to see what's happening. So
but that doesn't help us on the
podcast,
Eric.
which is the funny thing because stuff is finally happening that we've been waiting for all this offseason, but yet at the same time, nothing is really happening because there's no player signings or outside of people who we know are happening. So it is interesting.
Toyorto in the chat room. It could be amazing with polenta. Maze with polenta.
Spelling. That's a spelling.
That's a spelling.
Yeah, okay.
That was good. All right.
Took me a while.
Yeah.
The polenta jokes, we thought the romaine jokes were good. Wait till we get the polenta jokes.
There are some delicious jokes here.
We're going to be putting these jokes on a plate, folks.
Every podcast I get hungry. Just speaking about all of them. I'm trying to think of all the other ones, by the way. It's good.
We were pod. This is good pod.
We were joking about like if you had a new Cosmo, if you really had a new Cosmo, like what book would you have to study and how thick would it be in order to be able to be like old Cosmo?
It's a character study.
Like Cosmo likes tacos and car chases and is a goalkeeper. I mean, there's like little things that you have to get right, but the little things make that important, right?
That and to be honest, that's why Cosmo's beloved is because of those little those small little things.
Well, I'll say this, some of the talk from the chat room, and I'll give the chat room a little thing, talking about the supporters groups and all the stuff that's sort of come about because of that. Right. If you don't know, I'm going to tell you right now, you should go listen to Riot Squadcast, Chris Tucker and Ed, and they had Andrew Alisana, I think I'm saying that right, who's in charge of the LA Riot Squad. They talked about it way more in depth than I'm ever going to be able to do. I talked to some of those guys so that way I could have a little bit of knowledge on it. But basically the gist of this right now, and it's new, but it's also an old thing, from what I understand, which is that it's new that the front office is putting on a full court press to try to get LA Riot Squad to move out of the corner and join the rest of the supporters in the general admission section over there. They'd have their own section and do that. And just basically take LA Riot Squad and move it over next to ACB and the Galaxians. In my mind, when it does it, there's a couple reasons that I think that they're trying to make that move, and there's a couple reasons why that happens, and I think... I'm going to tell you right now. First of all, and I have to tip my hat, Chris Tucker and Ed Rodriguez and Ben, who's producer Ben over there, Ben Aranda, I think, and Andrew Alisana. That was one of the most compelling podcasts I've ever heard, and I enjoyed every minute of it. They're doing an excellent job. I put a tweet out today that basically had all of the independent podcasters that are putting out content right now for your LA Galaxy. Mm-hmm. And you need to follow all of them.
It's a great time to be alive. There's a lot of Galaxy content out there, and like you said, their podcast went into it, and it's interesting for someone like me because in a lot of ways I've been around this club, forever. I was at the first game. I followed the Galaxy, literally since #since96. So I feel like I know a lot about this club, but in, coming into the podcast world and listening to some of the supporter group things that are happening, in a lot of ways, this is all still very new to me also, because, I'm not privy to a lot of the background and the reasoning, for the reason why they stand where they stand or kind of the decisions that they're making. So it's interesting to me to hear that perspective. So you're absolutely right. There's a lot of great content out there to get more boots on the ground feel on what their perspective is. Because from an outsider looking in, these are things that I just didn't know. And I'm someone who's been a fan of the club for a long time.
Here's my take. Trying to move it.
I'll say you want to give a take?
I will.
Dangerous waters.
Dangerous. I know it's swimming, and it is what it is. I've always thought that I would like to have the supporters move together. That comes from the take of just being able to have everybody in one voice in one area. That's always been my take on it. Now, that takes into account nothing else. Just in terms of if it was a perfect world, I was starting a stadium, then I'd like all my supporters.
If it was a brand new stadium, yeah.
So, it comes from the simple, oh, yes, I think that would be cool, and that would be fine. That's unfortunately, that's not. We don't live in simple. We don't live. There's history in that corner for LA Riot Squad. That's where they started. That's where they've been for championships, everything else. And quite honestly, I don't have a say in it because I am not a supporter. And I sort of sit there and say, listen, you guys know your groups way better than I do. And I think you should do what you think is right for it. I'll say this, to suddenly think that for some reason that, the LA Riot Squad isn't loud enough or that the supporters groups need to be together to be louder is probably laughable because I've been there for MLS Cups and I've heard how loud all those sections can be. And, I think it brings a certain dynamic to it. So, that's not something for me. I don't like the gatekeeping. I don't like the gatekeeping on either side where, you have normal fans who are trying to say, oh, well, they should all be together. And then you have supporters groups saying, well, you're not in a supporters group and you shouldn't be. I don't like, that's
something. And I will say that's something that I have seen that, it turns into, and again, I could drop, well, I followed the club longer than you have. Yeah, so I get this level of membership. So that's one thing, we're all here to support the team and to provide content and insight and opinions. And that's part of it. But at the end of the day, it's those supporter groups who are making the decisions and the club who's making those decisions as well. So it's just a matter of how they work those things out. And, kudos to them over at Riot Squadcast for keeping it transparent. Again, they were the ones who were there, so we don't know exactly how everything went down. But, based on what they presented, it seems like approaches could have been different. And so it's not something that's impossible. I could see both sides, and I'm going to give the very boring and the very political. The answer is probably somewhere in the middle. that there could be a compromise reached at some point, but if you come at it the wrong way, then that compromise is not going to happen, and you're going to have two sides who are going to butt heads.
Yeah, and listen, from the LA Galaxy perspective, I'm sure it would be easier, and we talked about
it'd be much easier
if they were all in one section. You understand that. Both, I think security wise, they think it would be easier, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. Maybe you need the same number of security people just in different areas and focus different places. Don't know. Couldn't tell you. If they're looking to move the away supporters away from the northwest corner, which is not a great place for them because they have great seats there. If you're looking to move that away, then does this help that? Do you put the supporters up in the upper deck in that area? And
that's a difficult thing too, because this is something a lot of people were asking for is, do we give away supporters premium seating? And then with the Galaxy trying to address it, it creates another issue. So it's just kind of that. Well, and that's something they mentioned, I listened to the podcast as well. They said, well, there's not a bad seat in the house. So that makes it very difficult too.
The tennis stadium?
Yeah, that
track and field.
Just let them watch it on TV.
Yeah, they can track and field. Put them over there.
Put them in the bar.
No, and all that. And listen, if you're the Galaxy, one, you're trying to move somebody. Two, you're also gaining a bunch of premium corner seats, because I'll tell you right now that the LA Riot Squad probably doesn't pay full face value on those corner seats that make a whole bunch of money on the other side. So you can understand.
That's where my seats are.
Yeah.
The other corner.
You can't afford those. You can't afford those. No, but those are the things that you have to look at in terms of transparency, looking at what it is. What's really the motivation here? Do I think that Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Juninho care whether or not the supporters sit together? I don't know. I don't think they do.
Is it their job to make that request?
I don't know. It's just anyway.
That's where questions of approaches come into.
I can't
play.
tell you enough to go over to Riot Squadcast and listen to that. It is absolutely a very interesting dynamic, and they really go through it all, and you get to hear from their perspective clearly. And it's one-sided until the LA Galaxy decide to come out and say something about it or do anything else. Then we don't really know what it is, and we can certainly see if we can get any sort of response out of the LA Galaxy about it, but I'm guessing they're probably going to keep this internal for a while.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we're waiting, they're still going to announce that they signed Dave Romney again next week. Yeah, so I don't know.
No, that's the Athletic, who was 3.5 weeks late.
I don't know if we're going to get a response from the Galaxy, and so that's just something we're going to have to put our trust that the people who are providing content are giving us the full picture of what's happening. It seems like they're being genuine with their stance, and so it's just curiouser and curiouser. We'll see how this plays out.
I will tell you this, and somebody in the chat room said it best. I don't know what the answer is, but I support the supporters, and
that's the ultimate thing is it's their group, and they get to make that decision, and so it is what it is. And so I made a joke yesterday. I was like, nope, not touching this one. Walking in, walking right back out.
Yeah,
because I can't make that call. I can't. Sure, you can give opinions, but at the end of the day, we're not making those decisions.
It's a really interesting dynamic in the way it's playing out, and I'm sure that eventually either something will happen or nothing will happen. It'll be one of those. I don't think they're going to move to the center. I don't think they're moving.
They're not moving to the City National Bank seats, right?
I don't think so.
Dead square. That's sometimes those can be quiet seats. That might be a good spot.
It very well could be. All right. No, I think that's about where we sit with it. If there's more stuff that comes up, we'll talk about it. I'm here for an honest discussion about all this.
That's the whole purpose of the podcast as well. That's something that's going on in LA Galaxy land, and that's something that it's fair to discuss.
Yeah, it's very interesting. All right, some updates. Let's do some updates from Corner of the Galaxy updates. Let's do that. Why not? We are having a live show. That's right, our very first on-location event.
This is exciting.
Live event. We're doing it at Taps Brewery. The address is 15501 Red Hill Avenue in Tustin, California. This is on February 16th, 2019. That is the same day as the LA Galaxy take on the Vancouver Whitecaps at the Great Park in Orange County. Again, we are going to be on the patio right now, as weather permitting. If not, we're going to find someplace else inside to sit. But
we have Zlatan on our side, so I think the rain won't touch us.
The rain won't touch us. But we have a great event set up. 12 p.m. the doors will open to the brewery and also to our event. Basically, they start at 12 p.m. on Saturday. So we're going to be there. If you get there between 12 and 12:30, that works great. Our live show will start at 12:30. We're basically going to go till about 2 o'clock, and then 2:30, 2:45, we're going to wrap it up.
I hope there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's a long show. Hopefully it's not a quiet week like it was.
I was going to say.
we're planning on having some special guests. If I can get some confirmation, I'll let you know who that is ahead of time. But right now, I don't have any confirmation. Although I do have two people. I almost said players. It wasn't players, by the way.
Oh no, they're players, guys. I spoke to them behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Current LA Galaxy players are going to drink beers with us and then go play a preseason game.
None of that is true.
I confirmed. You heard it here first.
Yes. Breaking by the hammer. Anyway, so that's sort of the idea there. I think I'm going to make Eric make up a game of some sort that we're going to play as well. We're going to raise some money for the LA Galaxy Foundation. I think I've secured a signed jersey that we're going to be able to raffle off, so that'll be for the LA Galaxy
now
Foundation.
You're speaking my language. We'll play games, Galaxy trivia or something.
That's right.
We'll get something going.
We can drink some beer. We can have a good time. Basically, get you ready for that LA Galaxy versus Vancouver Whitecaps preseason game at the Orange County Great Park. So plenty of very interesting stuff coming up there. Again, if you want to go to Facebook and Corner of the Galaxy, you can RSVP to the event there. That would be great. If you don't want to, that's fine. Facebook and events isn't a real world scenario anyway.
So Taps isn't going to lock you out.
Most of you just touch the interested button anyway and forget to hit the going button. So, I know how that is.
Ooh, his feeling. You didn't see his face if you're not watching the live
I'm so
stream.
angry.
He's upset.
So angry. No, it's fine.
He's pounding on the table. There are fingers flying.
It's interesting. But no, so we have the Facebook event is up there as well. So again, Corner of the Galaxy live show on February 16th, 2019 at 12 p.m. start time. We're going to finish and wrap up around 2:30. So make sure you're there. We have the patio. We're going to have some beers and we're going to talk about some Galaxy. I mean, and hopefully we have some good guests. The people I have lined up that I think are coming right now are going to be interesting for you guys. I think you'll enjoy it. And we just have to sort of round that lineup out.
Perfect. Jermaine Jones.
Yeah.
This should be a lot of fun once he
Jermaine
shows up.
Jones.
We'll
Eric.
hear about his life.
Oh, Eric, that's fun. All right.
I'm going to reach out.
Yeah, the other thing that we have going on here, of course, at the podcast, we have our T-shirts still on sale. Just 12 days left in this particular campaign for the best podcast. The Bed Podcast. That's a different podcast I did.
The best pot?
Yeah.
Careful.
The best podcast in the Galaxy T-shirts. Ordered by February 5th is the deal there. $20 gets you a shirt. Those will all wrap up and be sent out whenever that campaign wraps up on February 5th. So please head on over there and order those shirts. cornerthegalaxy.com. Click on the shop button, and you'll be able to find the shirts right there. $20 helps support the show, and really it does go a long way to letting us do events like this. I mean, most of the money that we're going to raise for this is going to go into this live event that we're doing. So please go out and do that. I should mention at the live event, we'll probably still have some scarves to sell, so you can pick up scarves there as well. Might have some stickers and some other fun stuff. We'll see if we can find some other giveaway stuff to do as well. I'm sure there's stuff in the studio here I can get rid of.
I was going to say, if not, I could, I've got sticky fingers. Just send in your requests.
That's
I'll
right.
bring it to the live show.
That's right. You can watch it. You can watch it.
and you mentioned it earlier with, a lot of the content that's out there. I think the Galaxy family as a whole feels like it's these events are things that bring us together. So I think, having an event, having a live show, last year, unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it to your open house,
right.
But that's something that seemed like it was well attended. It got people involved. So at the very least, head to Taps, have a few drinks. It's always fun to interact with like-minded individuals who support the same club. So, I think it'll be a good time. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, great. You have the get Jermaine Jones on the on the live show.
All right, did I just give myself a task? I shouldn't have said it. That's why you don't say names, right?
Now you have to get Jermaine on the show. Great.
I could do it.
That's
I'm going to
good.
do it.
You're going to do it. You're going to land
I'm gonna
Jermaine.
line him up.
All right, great. Well, that's a 90-minute podcast all by itself. So. Don't have to worry about any other guests, but we're going to see how that does, and we'll keep you updated as it continues to go down. LA Galaxy still in training, preseason training coming up. Obviously, that February 5th closed-door scrimmage is their first action, really, that they're going to hit the field and actually do something. It's going to be interesting to see when the Galaxy transition out of this two-a-day period and what the training schedule looks like from then on out. Remember, 3 games coming up in the off-season, the second of which is that game where we're going to be down at Taps at the brewery here in Tustin. Saturday, February 9th. So remember, they have a game on the 5th. And they have a game 4 days later, Saturday, February 9th, at Dignity Health Sports Park. On Saturday, 7:30 p.m., kickoff time, LA Galaxy versus Toronto FC. Toronto FC's training at UCI right now. I believe that RSL's also in LA and training, I think, around UCI.
You don't want to be in Salt Lake in January or Toronto in January?
No.
You're telling me it's nicer in Irvine?
No. No. So we'll see how that goes. The Saturday, February 16th game we talked about, and then Saturday, February 23rd, Dignity Health Sports Park. Lots of messages and certainly pictures have been leaking as of late in terms of the jersey. I know people are talking about it in there.
Ooh.
It seems like 5 stars is the thing.
Again, you're speaking my language. Jerseys is where it's at. So yeah, seeing 5 stars from MLS Media Day was Zlatan both on the jacket and on the jersey. It's exciting. It's something that fans have always wanted. We have won 5 MLS Cups, and so you want to see that displayed. When the rule change, I remember a graphic coming from MLS saying, well, 1 gold star signifies 5 cups, which it just seemed bizarre, and especially with each year, the MLS Cup winners got a giant gold star, so it just doesn't make sense. So stick with 5.
5 stars.
And then when you go past 5, you can implement that rule.
Whatever.
Maybe.
Add 6. Put one on the top of it. It doesn't matter. Keep doing it until it's a circle
well,
all the way around.
I think that's what you want to avoid as the league goes on. You know, World Cup, it works because it's every 4 years. So with these national teams, you're not going to have a circle. It's going to take hundreds of years for that to happen. But if you're giving them away every season, I get the logic of wanting to cap it or stop it at some point or make some type of representation, but the league's still young. You don't need to do that yet.
Bring the Schelotto back, man.
I liked it.
The Schelotto was great.
I think it looked fantastic.
That was fun. A nice patch that had the MLS Cup with a star on it. That was cool. Like that. Hey, you're MLS Cup champs. You have the big patch with the star.
And they do it now with the World Cup winners and the Euro Cup winners. I have my Portugal Euro patch. You just throw that on there. Means a little something extra.
Schelotto. That's what you need.
Schelotto and Schelotto. Bring it back.
Guillermo, Gustavo, the twins.
Oh, the twins. Are we going to talk about their hairstyles?
That we figured out how to tell them apart.
Shout out to Madame Serrano.
Madame Serrano, LA Galaxy outsider.
Doing the Lord's work. I figured it out.
Bangs.
I got them. You could tell their hair.
Bangs.
Guillermo has it's like a fresh cut. It stands up.
It's a poof.
And then Gustavo, he's got a little kind of a Bieber, prime Bieber going on, covering up the front. So I got it figured out. So thank you. Shout out to you, Madame Serrano.
My wife literally told me like the same thing, but it took Madame Serrano there, the LA Galaxy outsider, to tell me what that actually meant when she was like, he has a more relaxed hair. More relaxed. What? Who
stands up? Guillermo stands up.
Guillermo's got the like I'm in charge hair, and Gustavo has the I will run around and kick balls.
He's got
like
the number. I'm the number 2 in charge haircut.
Just before we go, probably the most impressive video I've seen so far was Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Guillermo Barros Schelotto taking free kicks.
Oh, yes. I saw that.
Who won that? Wasn't even close.
Schelotto by a mile.
Schelotto. Guillermo.
That was great.
So I think if everybody really gets injured, I think Guillermo and Gustavo can both suit up.
It's not a bad idea.
That's the new answer.
He's a free kick specialist.
That's the new answer. All right. Anything else you got before we get out of here?
eSports. That's where it's at.
Future
of the game.
Wear it out. I understand. Why don't you tell people where they can find you?
You can find me on Twitter at GISHammer. You can also hear me on the Guys in Shorts podcast. You can find them at Guys in Shorts Pod. They have a new format. I haven't been there past few weeks, taking more of a backseat role now that I'm upping my dosage here at Corner of the Galaxy, but they're still worth a listen. You also want to listen to the Rams House at the Rams House. I don't know if you heard, Los Angeles Rams heading to the Super Bowl. So they're excited over there.
And then throw ball.
No. So if that's your thing, you could head over there. And then you could also follow me on Instagram at The Professional Foul, which is at Galaxy Pro Foul. Shout out to one of our listeners, Jesus. Saw him at the eSports event. He says he follows the page so he doesn't have to follow the whole team. And that was kind of my intent from the beginning. I'll follow the LA Galaxy social media so you don't have to. So I'm happy to hear that's working. So again, at Galaxy Pro Foul. PROFOUL, Galaxy before that.
All right, if you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at Guesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast. Head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. All of our articles, all of our videos, all of our podcasts is all right there, including the t-shirts. Get your t-shirts before February 5th when it all closes down. And of course, be excited for our first live show event ever. I want you guys there. I want to get 100, 150 people there. I mean, let's max that patio out. I want standing room only. Let's have a lot of fun and enjoy it. So again, February 16th, set calendars, noon, kickoff time for the live event there at Taps Brewery. And thanks to Taps for being great hosts to us so far. So we're going to treat them right as well. All right. For Mr. Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Guesman. You've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. We will catch you next time.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast, and be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. And for all of your independent LA Galaxy news, discussion, and entertainment, including this podcast, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Fans, thanks for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, Goodbye, everybody.